While most of Florida was ringing in the arrival of 2023 with fireworks and celebrations, a family in western Tallahassee was living through a sudden and violent nightmare. It was just before 11 p.m. on January 1st, 2023, the very first day of the new year. And on the 500 block of Ravensview Drive, just off of the Bluntstown Highway, 22-year-old Mack Goodson had just pulled into his driveway. Casey was a hard worker, a young guy who had excelled at plumbing and electrical work, a passionate fisherman, obviously, and the kind of person whose family says he could light up any room he walked into. He had just spent a beautiful holiday weekend with the people he loved the most, he was at home, and he should have been safe. But as he stepped outside, he noticed something was wrong. Someone was on his property, someone who absolutely did not belong there. Casey, being the guy he was, did not hesitate. He protected his home, chasing the intruder off the property. But seconds later, on a dark Tallahassee sidewalk, gunshots shattered. The confrontation happened instantly. Casey was shot right outside his home. His father, who was there, didn't wait for the ambulance. In a desperate race against time, his dad actually loaded Casey into the car and sped towards a nearby fire station, hoping that first responders there could save his son. So the paramedics met them, immediately starting CPR while rushing Casey to the hospital, but the damage was already done. At just 22 years old, Casey was pronounced dead. He became Leon County's very first homicide victim of 2023. In the days that followed, the Leon County Sheriff's Office swarmed the neighborhood. Violent Crimes Unit detectives knocked on every door, searched for surveillance footage, and a $5,000 Crime Stoppers reward was put on the table. But sadly, as the weeks turned into months, the initial flurry of police activity went quiet. No suspects were named, no descriptions were released, and the case grew cold. For Casey's mother, Heather, the rest of his family, the silence from the Detective Bureau became deafening. They knew someone in that neighborhood saw something. They knew a young man doesn't just lose his life on his front lawn without leaving a trace behind. But while the official investigation seemed to stall, the shadow system of the criminal world kept moving. And about a year after Casey's murder, a massive piece of information allegedly surfaced in the most unlikely of places: the local Leon County Jail. You can pause to read his obituary if you'd like. According to family members who contacted Unsolved Florida, a tip came directly out of the jail facility. An inmate who was being moved into one of the housing units allegedly overheard a direct confession. So another inmate, someone who may have been involved in the New Year's night, admitted to his cellmate that he had shot Casey, but he claimed it was a mistake. He allegedly said it was an accident and I didn't mean to shoot him. The inmate who overheard this confession knew exactly how huge it was. He did what anyone is supposed to do and reached out to the jail staff. He requested to speak directly to a homicide detective because he had vital information on an unsolved murder. But this is where the system broke down. So instead of a homicide detective pulling the witness into an interview room, the jail allegedly only sent a standard CO to speak with him. Knowing that the corrections staff don't investigate murders and fearing for his own safety inside the facility, the witness refused to talk to the guard and he demanded a detective. However, he never got one, and shortly after, that witness was transferred out of the county custody into the Florida Department of Corrections. The tip was buried in paperwork and, I guess, ignored by the department handling Casey's case. Stories like this, though, have a way of clawing their way back to the surface. And that inmate witness who has recently been released from prison, well, he's back in the community and he's reached out to Casey's family. He's willing to stand up and make a formal statement about exactly who he heard confessing to the murder of Casey Goodson. Right now, Casey's aunt and father are fighting to get the Leon County Sheriff's Office to listen. They feel like the department has done nothing with the case, left in the dark about what evidence police even have. But this isn't just a cold case. This is a case with a living, breathing witness who is holding a name. So if you're watching this and you live in the Tallahassee area, especially near the Bluntstown Highway or Ravensview Drive, think back to New Year's night of 2023. Did you see someone running? Did you know someone who suddenly became paranoid or was talking about a shooting accident that happened over the holiday weekend? More importantly, we need the Leon County Sheriff's Office to pick up the phone, to track down this released witness and verify this lead. Casey's family has been waiting for over 3 years for justice, and it's time to give it to them. So if you're watching and you have any information, no matter how small, you can call the Big Bend Crime Stoppers at 1-850-574-TIPS and remain completely anonymous. Even if it was an accident, let's bring Casey's killer to justice. Thanks for watching Unsolved Florida. Don't forget to like and follow and share this video if you're local to Tallahassee to keep Casey's story alive.